Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 142 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. Today, I'm excited to welcome Jenny Foster to the podcast. Now, Jenny joined Roots in early October of 2022. So about 10 months ago. And since then, she has saved and paid off $12,035.76, which is incredible. Now, today, Jenny is joining me to share her journey, what changes that she's been able to make, and how she has massively improved her financial life in just less than a year. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, how is everyone doing today? You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad. And as always, we'd love to connect with you guys on those social platforms. And welcome to today's show. As a reminder, to get all the resources, show notes, and links for today's show, head over to balancense.com/142. That's BALANCEDCENTS.com/142. And as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm so excited to welcome Jenny to the show. Now, Jenny is 59 and lives in Maine. She says, I have 2 adult children. She has 3 cats, Penny and Dora and Owl. She says, I am self-employed and I love what I do for a living. I have been a tax preparer since January of 1991. I also do some bookkeeping, and I am a professional actress, but have not been on stage, unfortunately, since COVID. I miss theater and know that it will probably never be quite the same. And she also adds that she enjoys cooking and gardening and family history, scrapbooking, photography, and I am a full tithe payer. And summer is my most absolutely favorite season. Jenny, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited that you're joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I love when our Roots members come on here and share real life stories of the stuff that we share, because as we always say here, it's one thing for Ryan and Amber and myself to be on here, and it can kind of seem like this impossible thing, you know, that normal people are able to do this. But when our Roots members come on and share that they've been practicing the stuff that we've been teaching, light bulbs start going off. And I hope today, and I know today, your journey is going to be a light bulb for a lot of people that are out there. And I know you're going to inspire a lot of people with what you've got to share today. So my first question for you, and what I'd love to know is just how did you start learning about money when you were at a young age? And how did that education, and whether it could be an education or a lack of education in my case, right? How did that play a role into how you started handling your finances as an adult, and maybe even possibly the challenges that you began to face as an adult?
I wrote out a whole thing about this because I really had to think about this. I don't ever remember. I was given an allowance, I know, and it was regular. I got the regular allowance. And tooth fairy money.
Yeah, don't forget about that.
And I started babysitting at probably about 14 or 15, but I don't ever remember my parents ever telling. I always thought they were fine. They were rich. They had everything they needed. We weren't. And when, as an adult, I see that my parents were actually really frugal, but yeah. I don't ever remember them telling me that they couldn't afford something. And I don't remember anybody in my family really ever saying that. There was probably plenty, but not, we did frugal things when we traveled. We went by car with a tent, and my brother and I learned how to put the tent up. And so I didn't ever really, I never really thought about it growing up. And so when I was on my own, I went to college and I'm in Boston. I graduated. I went to work, and I'm old enough now. I'm old enough that my mother wouldn't have even been able to get a credit card until mid-70s. So on her own, she was a female. And so my first experience with credit was after I graduated from college, and I didn't have college loan debts. I got Pell Grants, and I had some money saved. And
good for you.
So no, I never went to school with debt. I don't have any school. I never had school debt. And I'm very blessed for that because I did get an education. I went to Fisher Junior College in Boston, and then I went out to the University of Albuquerque. I didn't finish at Albuquerque. I only spent 2 years there, but still, no debt. But I did get a job in Boston before I moved out to Albuquerque, and I was working there, and I wanted a credit card because, you know, in Boston, I was making really good money. I probably never made as good money as I did in the 80s in Boston, but that's all right. I wanted a credit card. Well, they would never send them to me, because I didn't have credit experience. So finally I wrote a scathing letter saying, look, how am I supposed to get credit experience if nobody will give me a credit card?
Right.
And they weren't as easy to get back then.
Yeah.
So they sent me a credit card, and then it followed that got a lot more. And then I just lived high on the hog, and, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, got myself into a lot of debt, bought a car, you know. So I never really got out of debt because I was, you know, I got to a point where it was like, you know, yes, I paid off my credit cards a couple of times all the way, but it didn't stay because then I didn't have money, and then I kept using them. So growing up, I don't think it wasn't something that I really paid attention to, and it wasn't taught. People didn't talk about their money. They didn't talk about, you know, nobody said, oh, we can't afford this, or, oh, this is what this is. It was just sort of happened.
Right.
The groceries got bought, the car got filled with gas. My dad actually rode his bicycle to work. Of course, back in the 70s, you know, there was a lot of rationing for gas. So when I started really thinking about all these things, I was like, that makes sense. That's why he did it. But he had a 3-speed with a couple baskets on the side. He put his briefcase in one because he taught at Cal State Northridge, and he would ride his bike to work. So there were things that my parents did that I think kept them able to do other things.
Right. Well, I think, you know, you bring up a good point that it just wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't something that was taught. And I think a big reason for that is money is, I feel, always had kind of this shame around it, right? Or it's shameful either to talk about money, or it's boastful if you make a good income and you're talking about that, right? We don't want to. It's just been this very taboo and very private topic, and not just, again, and the reason I ask this question is because it's not just to the outside world, it's even to our own families, right? You know, people aren't sharing their financial successes or their financial struggles with their kids and why those things are happening. And what's happening is that the kids, and this happened in my case, I'm trying to prevent it from my kid's case, but a lot of us learn by just watching, right? And so if they're constantly seeing overspending or using debt products, or they hear collectors calling or things like that just becomes kind of that's just normal, right? Good or bad, financial success or financial challenges. So I think it's always just interesting to understand the family dynamic and how that plays a role into how we handle our finances. Now you mentioned you got your credit cards and you started using debt products. Did it feel normal to you? Did you feel like any stress from that? Did you question what you were doing, or was it just like, this is what everybody does? Or what was your thought process?
This is what everybody does. And if you want to go out and have a couple drinks after work or eat or whatever, you know, it's like, charge it.
Yeah.
You want new clothes, charge them, new shoes. And it is what everybody was doing.
Right.
In the 80s.
Yeah, especially in the 80s, right? Or 90s, yeah, especially. Yeah. Right.
And that's when, it was probably a couple of years after I graduated from Fisher. It was probably around 84 or 5 when I got my first credit cards.
Okay.
And then I didn't ever stop.
Yeah.
I do not use them now.
Right.
Well, it was a whole thing. My income was just, even when I started Roots, my debt payments were around $1,500 a month. And of course, one of my whys is interest. A big, big chunk of that is just throwing money away.
Yeah.
Hundreds, boom, gone. On interest to these big companies that could care less about you. And then if you're late, they're going to charge you anywhere from like $29 to $40, you know? So, but what I was doing is not having money. I had these little kids. I didn't have money. I did work 3 jobs to keep them fed. And they're really hard workers now. They don't ask me for anything.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And interestingly enough, well, so Saturdays, we had this routine. Fridays, we'd go to the laundromat and we'd get dinner at Subway. It was across from the laundromat. So I'd take them over and get them their little kid packs, and we'd go back, and after, we'd put it in the dryer, they'd eat. And then on Saturdays, we went to the food pantry. I hate to even admit that, but we did. Saturday mornings was food pantry, and then we'd go to this $1 a bag thrift store when they could give them each $1 and they could get what they wanted.
Right.
That was our weekends.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as adults, they're both really hard workers. They don't ask me for money. They don't, did I tell them that we couldn't afford things all the time? I don't think that was the best thing to do. Looking back, I probably should have just did like my parents, made it happen.
Right.
But it was really difficult. It's difficult to be a caregiver for small children. It's difficult to be a caregiver for an adult. But and it sort of shapes everything you do.
Yeah, it certainly does.
That's not the point of the question you asked me. But yes, it was very normal to be in debt.
Yeah.
And to just do whatever you wanted when you wanted it.
Yeah.
But, I know what it was. So I would pay my credit card debts, which were, $1,500 a month. And then I wouldn't have but, another $500 to get through the month to buy the groceries and gas or whatever I needed, pay the mortgage. So then I'd use the credit cards to get me through to the next month, and then I'd make that. So when something opened up because I made a payment, then I was able to keep, using it.
Yeah.
That's not a wise way to do things at all.
Right. So when you're at this point, you're using it as normal. At what point did you start questioning maybe you need to do something about this once and for all? Because ultimately you decided to join Roots in October. So can you walk me through kind of the light bulb moment for you? Like, what was kind of just like, enough is enough, I need to change this, and it even though everyone's doing it, it's like, I just don't want to participate in this anymore.
I've been doing some on my own for a couple of years. My old planners I had taken my old planners, and on the month section, because I use a weekly one for work, but on the month section, I would write in red on each date when something was due, whether it was debt or just a regular old bill. And then I'd check them off when I was doing it. But joining Roots, it happened because I was scrolling through Facebook, and there's this planner, because I like planners. I have several. And it was like, this is like more advanced than what I'm doing. So I ordered the planner, and of course, with the planner comes your introduction and then this Roots and this like exclusive club to join. And it was October, and I just finished extension, so I had a little bit of money, and I'm like doing the math thinking, monthly, it's more expensive. Yearly? Oh, and I get a free planner. I'm gonna join here. So I joined. But when I got the planner, I had started that September 1st, and it was like, well, this could be my new fiscal year or something.
Right.
But it was a few years ago. I wanted to buy my office, the office that I'm in, which belongs to my mother, which is part of this trouble because now she's got properties but no income. And I wanted to buy this, and I was turned down for a loan because my debt to income ratio was off.
Right.
And I was like, I've been working on this sort of half-heartedly for a few years, but now I got to take it up a notch. And had to raise my credit score. I know you talk about that a lot. We don't need it, but they do. The bank wants to know that you're,
Yeah. Right.
And so I was like, I can do this. But the encouragement and just your amusing videos. I gotta join this group, this exclusive group. And now I'm glad I have, and I tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
But I just realizing how much money you really pay out in interest every single month.
Yeah.
If you really, when you stop to think about it, it makes you feel sick, or at least made me feel sick. And that was probably the biggest reason that I was like, I'm just throwing my money away.
Right. Can you share a little bit about the feelings you had about where you were at before you started? Like, were you dealing with stress? Was there anxiety around your finances? Was it affecting other areas of your life, you think? Can you share just a little bit about that?
Absolutely, because it does affect other areas of your life. It was making me ill. I was physically nauseous all the time. It's like, oh, and I was always stressed because you don't want to miss a payment. You don't want to,
Yeah.
I have to have enough to make this payment. I have to, I can't do this because I have to do that to pay this. And yeah, I was extremely stressed. I'm not as stressed at least not in that area.
That's awesome. That's great. So you decided to join in October. So can you share, because to be able to save and pay off over, $12,000 in just 10 months, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. What were some of the things early on that, after you joined that really started to make, because you said you were kind of already doing this on your own. And there's always this thing of, well, why would I join this if I'm already doing this on their own? So what made the biggest difference? Because to be able to make that kind of progress is huge. So as you're going through this, the first, say, 2 to 3 months, what were some of the things that you learned that really made that big of a difference, that really got you on the road to be able to get these kinds of results, you think?
Encouragement, accountability. I loved being able to be encouraged. I mean, even not being, for the first few months, I came to all the meetings. I never said anything. I never did. Just listened. And the encouragement was it's like, you can keep going. You can keep going. You can do this. It's not that hard. You might have to choose not to do this, or you might have to lose weight and cook at home. I have lost a few pounds since I joined, and and I haven't really even tried, but I think a lot of it is that I do cook at home more. And I'm, if I go to the grocery store, it's like, these are necessities. These are not, meat and vegetables and eggs and fruit and such but brownie mix, it's not. So yeah. Yeah.
So mindset change, debt's normal. Everyone's doing it. You join Roots. How did that change over time? And how do you look at things now versus how you looked at them when you were where you were before?
Now I just think of debt as being abominable. Get out of it as fast as possible, because it really just cramps your whole life.
Right.
It does. It just takes away and detracts from anything that you want to do positively. And I find I'm doing other things now. I'm reading more. I don't know.
You've freed up, right. So let's talk a little bit about that. You're reading more. Do you find just 10 months later after joining, you're actually spending less time managing your money because you have a system to follow and it's freed up mental energy to be able to do other things?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I was getting ready the debt today. I hadn't done my budget for September yet. Here it is, August 30th. And usually I've put into, what the debt is and how I've, by this point, and I have two credit cards that I don't pay them till the end of the month. So I don't get the new debt until, the first week of the next new month. But I was working on my budget while I was getting ready this afternoon, and I'm like, yeah, I really don't do this as much as I used to. But it was interesting because yesterday I was cleaning out some stuff and I found some from 2013, some lists of what my debts were and what my payments were. And I'm like, boy, I have been doing this a while and trying to get out from under for a long time.
Right.
But I never committed so much. This time I've really committed. I don't use my credit cards. I tried. I have always used my Staples card for business, and I do keep my business and personal separate. I know that as self-employed people, it's all one, and you've talked about that, but I keep my business in one account, and then I just move money into my personal account.
Right.
But all of my business expenses, I take care of all of that. I don't even put that in my list of things I have to pay. They're just part of this business.
Right.
But what's my point? I've lost my train of thought.
That's totally okay. So you've saved and paid off over $12,000.
Mm-hmm.
So someone might be thinking, well, what things did you do? Because people want, what are some simple actions that I could do right now that have helped Jenny get those results? So can you pick out maybe 2 or 3 things, if you can? Was it budgeting that helped you the most? Did you cut back on certain things that really made a big difference? Were there any behavior changes that you made? Can you share a little bit about that just to give people like some things that maybe they can think about in their own lives?
Mostly behavior change, and mostly making savings a priority. It took me 5 months to get my emergency fund, and I know some people can do it in 30 days or a couple months, but I came into Roots at the end of tax season. Like, I finished the extensions. It's October 15th. Then I'm joining Roots, and I'm going into a period of time where I have absolutely no income for almost 3 months. And so that's one of the reasons it took me a slow start on the emergency fund. I was like, I have no extra. I'm not going to make extra expenses, and I'm not going to. So I pinched pennies, and then I started making money again in January, and I slowly put a little bit of money in every week to my savings account. I have made it $1,200. That was my goal for this year, is to make my emergency fund $1,200. It now is at $1,200, and I'm pleased with that.
That's amazing. Such a great feeling, I'm sure.
It's a great feeling. And I have over $3,000 in savings. I didn't count the fact that when you say, what do you splurge on? I splurge on stocks. That's what I splurge on. I opened a Ameritrade account, and I was like, okay, we'll put a little bit in here. We'll buy a stock. And so hopefully my splurges will eventually, shake out and make me a little money, but maybe not. If not, I accounted for that, and that was, but
yeah, I
didn't count that as savings, because even though there's money there, it's not, true money, and it's not a lot. It's about $1,000. Actually, it's about $1,300 now, but
did you find any?
And then I have an account but just it was like $20 here, $20 there, $10. It was a slow process, but it was consistent.
Yeah.
I opened the account at an account at a bank I don't use and don't care to use, really. I opened up a savings account, and I put money in it, and every now and then I'll drive over there. I'll make the effort to drive over there and throw in a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that till next year now, because now I've made that goal, and I have some others I have to make. But
yeah, I love that. I love that you've reached it.
Every single thing. And then I did do the snowball. I paid off the first credit card, and I'm still working on the second one. But the first one, the payment was $27 a month. So now I just pay $68 to the next one instead of $40 or whatever it was, $41.
Yep, you got it.
So yes, slow and steady is going to win this race. It
That's
will.
Right. Yep. That is awesome. So you mentioned your business. Can you share a little bit about how, because you just mentioned when you joined, your business has kind of peaks and valleys of income, right? So you've got sometimes where money's coming in, and then sometimes money's not coming in. So how has managing your finances helped you prepare for that, you think, and what you've been able to learn and do inside Roots on your personal finance side?
I'm more prepared this year for winter. Because I have put money by. Also didn't count that as savings, because it's not really savings. It has to be used.
Right.
But I'm more prepared for that this year. And what I have to do is what I used to do was just live on my credit cards for a couple of months every year and then pay them off when I was working again. I used to do that with the property taxes, because they'd be due in the fall, and then the second payment would be due in April. Okay, we'll just pay it all in April. No big deal.
Right.
And now I'm not going to be able to pay. I don't think I'll be able to pay all of the property tax this year ahead of time, but some I will, and I've been putting some by for that as well. So with the sinking funds, I don't really like the term sinking funds because I like the idea of I'm sinking my debt and I'm raising my savings.
Yeah,
the whole sinking fund.
What would you like to name them, Jenny? You can rename them today.
Oh my God.
Raising funds. There you go. Is that better? You think about that. We can rename them. We'll rename them.
Sinking funds. I always think of my sinking sinkhole septic tank.
Right.
I'm selling.
Yeah. Right.
No, I'm really and doing at the very beginning when you have us do the not profit and loss,
Oh, just going through your total debt list and your assets and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a form. There's a term for that, which is essentially profit and loss.
Yeah.
But when I did that, I realized that I have assets. My assets are greater than my debt.
Oh, you're speaking about net worth, right? Is that what you're?
I never really. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Why couldn't I think of that?
I was letting you.
Because I've been doing profit and loss for a couple of people today. That's all I can think about. But yeah. But my net worth, I had a positive net worth, and this was really encouraging because I'd never really thought about that before.
Yeah.
And I had this building, which I always thought was just crap, and I was never going to sell it. And I was just going to let it rot into the ground because I didn't want to deal with it. Now I'm dealing with it, and it's going to get me out of debt.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah. And then I will get back into debt because I really need to buy this office building because we need to have, my mother needs the income from this, and we need to rid her of the property, and I don't want to give up my office building because but she's the one that got me into this business. So
right.
Yeah.
And I think, from a business standpoint, in real estate, I think is a little bit of a different animal than, say, loading up on credit card debt and buying just, stuff that goes down in value and those types of things. So I think, you're going back into debt, but for something like real estate, you're creating another asset too.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting for you. So talk a little bit about, how have you seen improvement in your life? Like less stress, feeling better. You mentioned, some of the things that, were negative before you started. Like, have you just noticed other differences? You mentioned you lost a little weight just eating at home and watching your spending. Like what are some other benefits you found?
I have less stress. I feel more organized. I'm a lot more organized than I was. And I think that I'm not sure what to attribute that to, except that I'm not. When you just decide not to use credit cards, you just decide not to use them. They're done. I don't need those. Right. I have to pay cash. I have to, and it's lovely. I have cash in my wallet. I open my wallet up. Here's cash. It's such a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And a lot of people sometimes don't see the value of cash because it does for most people. I get not everybody. You can't throw everyone in the same bucket, but I know it did for me. It helps you stay more accountable too, because there's an end to it, right? And when you're handing over that cash and you're spending cash, it feels different than swiping credit cards. And I think when you're trying to watch your spending and you're trying to improve habits, I think cash it's just a great thing. It's a great tool that sometimes a lot of people just overlook. So you mentioned that you share this with everybody. So what
I do.
Have you had, what has your been experience sharing your journey with other people? Have people been positive? Have people been kind of like
very positive? My cousin has said that she's interested, and I hope that she would join. I mean,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's incredible. So my last question for you is what would you say to Jenny 10 months ago before starting? Because there might be some people out there who are hesitant, and it's not just Roots, but just really just starting to work on your finances and really make this a priority. You've been able to, save and pay off $12,035 in 10 months, which is incredible. What would you say to someone who isn't started yet to encourage them to say, I need to get started. I need to work on some of this stuff because this stuff, it's changed your life.
I would tell them to join Roots because this is the most positive community I've ever been a part of ever in my life. And money is such an intimate thing. I mean, as a tax preparer, I realized that people talk to me about everything. And I think it's because money is it is an intimate thing. It is something that it's hard to share with other people. It's hard to share if you're struggling with other people. A lot of people have a broke mindset. I don't think I ever really had a broke mindset. I knew that I just wasn't doing the right thing.
Right.
And it's easy not to do the right thing. It's really much easier to be like, oh yeah, but it's difficult also because as I go through the things in my home and declutter, which has also improved some, I find things that I've never used, books I've never read, and books I've, that I've bought. Oh, I'll read this. I'll buy four, and I'm like, I read one, and then the others end up in the bookcase. I'm like, why did I do that? And even though my spending tends to be at thrift stores, and I'm not spending a lot of money, it's still the same bad habits of somebody who's going and doing the same thing with more money at like a mall or something.
Right.
So one of the biggest things is learning not to waste money on things that I don't need. I can go to the library. I could go, do I still have some things that I spend money on? Yes, of course. I think we all do. You talk about your Legos.
Yeah, I was just about to say, including me.
But I like to buy fabric. I haven't bought. I'm so great. I do sew. I haven't been able to really do much in the last couple of years because I've had my mom, and though I could be taking 10 or 15 minutes here, 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
it's hard when you have to set things up and take them down.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that because I know you've, we've been emailing back and forth. You said it's been, obviously a challenge taking care of your mom. Is it, because again, our job here at Debt Free Dad is to help people just have one less thing to worry about. And money for a lot of us is one of the biggest things we worry about. Has it helped you? I mean, I know that that's been a very challenging situation, but not having to have to worry so much about your finances, to be able to put more mental energy to not only just take care of your mom, but take care of yourself and take care of other parts of life. Has that played a role in this, do you think, too?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I don't feel like that's a complete answer, but yes.
No, that's a complete answer. I was just letting you finish your thought.
I feel like I should explain more.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, Jenny,
I definitely would encourage anybody to join Roots. It's the best program I've ever been in. And I have a whole bookcase full of finance books because I've read so many. And some of them are great, and I will keep them, and some of them I don't need, and I don't know why I still have them, but I have been reading these books for years. Well, I think about doing, various ways to. I'm thinking about doing another financial fast.
Yeah.
I always find those to be really educational for me in ways that it makes me creative.
Yeah.
I believe in having a full food pantry in my home. So I have, I have good food storage. And so I can live in my food storage if I needed to for a while, and make certain little rules for myself. Like, you're allowed to buy fresh milk. But other than that, nope, you gotta live with what you got. So I'm thinking about doing that for September.
Yeah. Yeah.
While I wait for the closing on the house.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I think what you're finding, and what a lot of people find, including myself, is that, books are great. Education is great, but you said encouragement and accountability have made some of the biggest differences for you. And when you're done with the book, it's done, right? Like, there is no ongoing, like, keep going. Like, let's do this. What do you need help with? I'm here to ask questions, right? And I think that's why Roots has been so big for so many people. It's not necessarily me. It's just the system works. It helps you change your behaviors. It helps you change your mindset. It helps you keep moving forward. And then you said the group of positive people that are around you, people who are working on the same things. And I think, if you combine all of those things, it creates like this, what we call the circle of awesome, right? It really is.
It is a circle of awesome. I love that you can support somebody. You put $10 in your emergency. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
You'll get there. It's great. And everybody's just encouraging everybody for every little thing, I'm just like, awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I put $4.90 in my Christmas club. That was bottle return money. You know what? Yay!
Yep, exactly. We celebrate everything because everything
it's just terrific. It is terrific. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I'll be out of debt. If I'm out of debt, I won't need. I was like, yes, you will, because you will need to continue this behavior. And when you start recognizing that you are making excuses and that you are doing these things to detract yourself from doing what you want to do, Excuses. I love to listen to your excuse module. Whenever you bring that up, I'm like, yeah, I got them. I got excuses.
We actually just covered that last week, right? On the live meetup. Yeah.
I can justify any expense.
You definitely can. Right.
I can. It's really, I've done that for years. It's like, oh yeah, this is legitimate. This is, I need this. This is,
Yeah, we're really good at selling ourselves on just about anything when our mind is made, like to make us feel better. And yeah, excuses are a big part. Well, Jenny, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit of your journey, and just a huge congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you put in a lot of hard work, and any success that you have is really because of that. And I've just been so awesome to have you as part of the group, and it's been awesome to be able to support and encourage you, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to do over this next year. So thanks so much for being on. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Brad.
You're welcome.
Hey, if you love planners, this is for you. But you know why planners frustrate me? Because they only really get it half right. Now, sure, they're really good and fancy about helping you manage your time, which is really important, obviously. That's what a planner's for. But where they get it wrong is money, the second most valuable resource in our lives. Most planners don't include any financial planning. Things like, keeping track of paydays, bills, due dates, spending, yearly expenses, budgets, cash flow planning, debt elimination plans, and goal planning, right? None of that stuff. That's a real pain. And then what? Then you got to create your own in some silly binder, right? And who has time for all of that stuff? So instead, what happens? Nothing, right? A lot of people tend to ignore their finances even more, and things only get worse. Well, that all ends today because I am so excited to announce and release my brand new, totally awesome Debt Freedom Planner. This thing's awesome, by the way. Now, before you say, Brad, I've already got a planner. This is not an ordinary day planner. This is the Debt Freedom Planner, which is a companion tool that works with your day planner, and it's built to help you manage your money, pay off more debt, and melt away financial stress. And I believe this is the tool that a lot of people who want to take control of their finances have been waiting for. So head on over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu to get access to your planner today.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's
All right. That sound means it's time for the celebrations of the show. And also just wanted to thank Jenny for joining us on the podcast. What a great example and proof that normal everyday people can turn their financial challenges around. And just so excited for her and so glad that she was able to join us. We're going to kick it off with Debbie Kennedy. Debbie says, a lot of changes the past couple of months, but I am also so happy to say my emergency fund is over $3,000 now. That's so cool. Just paid off 2 credit cards and paying off 2 student loans tomorrow for a total of $7,946.79 in debt reduction. One happy camper here, she says. She also says, thank you, Brad Nelson, for help and the encouragement. Debbie, no. Thank you. And I'm so excited for you that you've decided to make some changes and you're getting those great results. That is so exciting for you. I love it. Lindsay Walsh, I've sold like $300 worth of my treasures online this week. Lindsay, I love it. Yes, finding things around the house is a great way to beef up those emergency funds. We all got a lot of stuff that we don't use. Lindsay, I love that you're taking action with getting that stuff done. Bobby Johnston, I added $300 back to my emergency fund savings this last week. Bobby, huge win, big chunk of money, fantastic. And Barrett, I was able to drop $500 into our savings, working through modules and getting to the zero budget portion. So once I get through all of that, and she's speaking of her Roots modules, by the way, I hope to be able to put more into my savings. And taking action, $500 extra in your savings account. Action creates results. I love it, Ann. Great job. Katie Hatfield had a rainy day sale and made over $200 just cleaning out the closet. Incredible. Got the refund from my Gap insurance after refinancing my car loan to get lower interest rates, and we'll have that paid off in 24 months versus 29. I was also able to go out with friends twice for dinner this week because check this out, everyone. Katie says, I budget fun every single month. That is awesome, Katie. Congratulations to you. And then last, Monica Holloway. My emergency fund has hit $1,000. Monica, huge accomplishment. Congratulations to you. And congratulations to all of you guys who are out there working your way towards a much better financial life. Hey, if you're just getting started with our podcast, or maybe you've been listening for some time and you're interested in how you can get started on the road to financial freedom, visit our website at balancedcents.com or therealdebtfreedad.com and sign up for my free Life Without Payments workshop, where I'm actually going to show you the first steps that have helped tens of thousands of people, just like you and me, kick financial stress and worry for good. And thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our podcast, so please leave us an honest review. We read every single one of those, and as you guys know, the Debt Free Dad podcast is here to help you live a happier and stress-free financial life. So if you know someone who could benefit from our show, please give us a share. We appreciate you, and we will see you guys on an upcoming episode. Take care. Have a great week.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback on this video. And if you want the latest from the show, obviously be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And for the latest resources, or if you want more information on how to kick debt and financial stress, please be sure to check out the links in this video or head over to therealdebtfreedad.com. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show. Take care.